All right, what's going on, guys? Let me get this all set up. What's going on, Brian? All right, so today what we're going to talk about, I know I said respiratory system, but I forgot. I usually teach the nervous system first, then we'll go into the respiratory. So the nervous system, basically what that is, it is the system that controls all activities of the body. So far, how are you, Jose? So far we've talked about, we have our skeletal system, right, that gives our body shape, and then we have our muscles that help move that skeleton. But the nervous system is actually the part of our body that actually controls how the muscles move, and in return uses those muscles to move our skeletal system. Okay, so the nerves are our controlling group. It's the system that controls all activities of the body. So hopefully you guys can see what I wrote. Can you guys see that all right, the board? Let me see if I can put a... All right, good. It's a little small on my screen, so I'm just making sure. If anything, let's see if I do this. Okay. So now we're going to go through the nervous system, okay? So the nervous system has 4 different parts, okay? It has the brain, the nerves, the spinal cord, and the senses. So we're going to talk about all 4 of those. So before we get into it, all 4 of these things in the nervous system allows you to react to stimulus, okay? So stimulus is a change to the environment. So when the environment changes around us, you are able to have your nervous system affect how your body operates. Brian, yes, I'm going to just do one video for the brain pop on the nervous system, okay? The usual, 10 questions assignment, and then we'll do the respiratory tomorrow. Actually, before the respiratory, I have one more assignment for you guys. So your reaction's automatic, okay? Automatic means that you do not have to think about your reactions, okay? So an example, if a bug flies into your eye, you're going to blink. That's a reaction. That's controlled by your nervous system. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the brain. So the brain controls your emotions, your thoughts, and every motion you make. All right. So the brain controls, I'm lifting up my arm right now. That's my brain telling my muscles of my arm to move, to point at the board. So there is a central nervous system. So the central nervous system is composed of 2 parts. All right. So we talked about the nervous system. It's got 4 basic parts, but the central nervous system has 2 of them inside of it. So the central is basically stuff that's inside of your body. So the brain that's inside of your skull. So that's central nervous. So I'm going to write central right here. The other one that is also central is your spinal cord. So both of these make up your central nervous system. Now, the spinal cord, if you remember, is located in your vertebrae, okay? It's protected by your vertebrae, your skeletal bones, because the spinal cord is very important, because the spinal cord sends messages to the brain from the rest of your body. That's why if someone's handicapped, their spinal cord is damaged and they cannot go, it cannot send messages to your brain. So that, if you lose motion in your legs, or if you hurt your spinal cord in the neck area, you can lose all functions of your lower body and your body itself, okay? Now, the outer nervous system is stuff that's made on the outside, okay, that has contact with the outside environment. So the outer would be the senses. So I'm just going to write an O for outer, and then the nerves themselves. Okay. So nervous system, you got 4 parts, but 2 of them are central, and then 2 of them are outer. Hi, Evelyn. So the nerve impulse, they carry messages throughout the body. Okay. There are nerves all in your body, and they carry messages throughout the entire thing. Oh, Evelyn, I hope everything works out. So one of the examples of the nerve system where in respect with the nerves, think about, has anyone ever hit their elbow? So there's a bone, or we call it a bone. It's called our funny bone, but really it's a nerve that runs through our whole arm. So it's one of the only nerves in our body that's not protected, okay? So our funny bone, which is actually a nerve, if we hit it, it has that weird feeling. That's because you're actually hitting your nerve and you feel that like tingle in your arm. And it's located right in the elbow. Evelyn, that's terrible. I hope everything works out. So the central nervous system is made up of 2 parts. You got your brain and you got your spinal cord. So the spinal cord, like I said, controls, gives to the rest of the body. Now the brain is actually made up of more than 100 billion nerves. And the brain is divided into 3 parts. So here is my really bad photo of the brain, okay? All right, Evelyn, that's fine. Do whatever you can, okay? Take your time on this too, and I'll post up the video so you can always look at them at a later date. So the brain has 3 different parts. So you got the cerebellum, which is the large part of the brain. And again, there's better pictures in the PowerPoint. You got the cerebellum, which is this little tiny circle on the back part of the brain. And then you have the brain stem, which comes out at the bottom of the brain, okay? And it kind of looks like a stem. That's how you can remember it. So the cerebellum, the large part of the brain, okay, this controls your thinking, your memory, okay? It also controls your speaking, and it controls your movement. So the cerebellum is really important. All parts of the brain are important, but the cerebellum controls when you're thinking in class, if you're able to remember things, when you're talking, me talking right now during this presentation, all right, I'm using my cerebellum. And then movement. So me moving my arm, this is my cerebellum controlling my arm that is able to point and write on the board. Now, the cerebellum, okay, which is different than the cerebrum, this controls your balance. This is how we're able to stand upright and not fall over. It also controls your posture. So those are the 2 main parts of the cerebellum, okay? Let's see. The cerebellum is damaged. Can you mice like a robot? Move like a robot? So it depends how it's damaged. So if your cerebellum's damaged, has anyone ever got up really fast and you kind of feel lightheaded and kind of dizzy? if you're lying down and you get up really fast. So when you get that weird feeling where you're kind of like, a little dizzy and you're a little off, that's because your cerebellum wasn't ready for you to stand up that quick. All right. When you do that, you end up having your cerebellum having to adjust itself for you being able to walk or stand upright again. All right. Now, the last one is the brainstem. And this one's important because the brainstem connects your brain to the spinal cord. So that's the main purpose of the spinal or the brainstem. The brainstem takes all this, so your thinking, your memory, your speaking, your movement, your balance, and your posture, and it sends it down to your body for it to work. So that's why if you ever get, so if the brainstem, if it's cut off, if it's blocked, you don't have those motor functions of good movement. Now, the other thing that we're going to talk about that's inside is I'm just reading some of the comments. Inside of your brainstem at the top, you have this part that's called the medulla. So the medulla controls some of your life functions and it regulates it. So this is your breathing, your swallowing, and your heart rate. Okay. So the medulla is located inside of your brainstem. So just a quick review. Cerebrum controls your thinking, memory, speaking, movement. Cerebella, that's your balance and posture, the little part in the end. And then the brainstem connects all this information to be sent down to your body. And then inside of that brainstem, you have a part that's called the medulla, which controls your breathing, your swallowing, and your heart rate. And I don't know what's going on with my chat right now. It says that it's loading your messages, so hopefully they come through. So also in the PowerPoint, it talks about the vertebrae, how it protects the spinal cord, because it's very important for you to be able to send those messages to the brain. All right. So now we're going to go to the outer nervous system, okay? So the outer nervous system carries messages between the central nerve system and the rest of the body. The outer nerve system's job is to connect the central nervous system to the rest of the body. So some of the things we're going to talk about is the senses, okay? So the senses carry messages about the environment to your nervous system. So what are some of the senses do you think that you use in order to communicate the outside world to your body? I'll give you one. Your eyes. Your eyes is one of your outer nervous systems. Okay? If you can spot danger, your nervous system's going to tell your body to get out of there. Another one is your skin. So if you're ever touching something, right? Let's say this eraser, it's hot. So if I went to grab it, my nerves in my hand are going to shoot all the way up my arm to my brain. My brain is going to tell me with thinking, okay, this is really hot. You got to let go. It's going to shoot the nerves right back down. I'm going to drop it. Okay. So that's an example of your senses telling your nervous system that you're in danger. Another thing is your ears. If something's really loud, or in the case with the school, if we have a fire drill and the alarms go off, that's telling through your brain that there's a fire or it's a drill and we got to get up and go. The other thing is your tongue. If you're eating something and it's too hot, you're going to tell your brain that it's too hot and stop eating it, or it has to cool down. The other thing is your nerves themselves, which are located all inside your body with your skin. Okay, if anything's ever too hot or too cold, if you jump in a shower and it's too cold, it's going to tell your brain wherever the water is hitting you, it's too cold and you got to wait. So the other thing is your reflex. It's an automatic reaction that happens without thinking about it. So this is if you get hit in the knee, if you're in the doctor's office and they give you the little tap on the knee and your leg moves forward, that is a reflex. Let's see. The sense organs carry messages. We went over that. The sense organs, so with your eyes, they can sense light, darkness, they have to adjust. What if you get scared and jump back out of nowhere? So that's also your reflexes. So if someone's charging you or pretends like the fake hit you, usually you put your arms up. That's a reflex because it's protecting your body. Yep, like flinching, Brian. That's exactly right. That's a reflex. If someone pretends to throw something at you, usually you put your hands up to protect your head. When you're sleeping, you wake. Yeah, usually if you have a dream, okay, depending on if you remember it or not, usually something bad happens in the dream, and that's when you wake up. That's a reflex. So the environment is everything outside the body, okay? It's the environment that we live in, and that's how our senses help us deal with the environment. So your vision through your eyes is your ability to see. It involves your vision and it goes to your brain. The eye is one of your sense organs. The eye is made up of an iris and a pupil. And then it gathers pictures and sends them to the brain. Okay? So that's one of the parts of it. Again, this picture, it's a lot better in your notes that I uploaded. So definitely know the 3 different parts of the brain: cerebrum, cerebellum, and the brainstem. And the way to remember that, the brainstem, it looks like a stem coming out. And then I always remember whichever one is the shorter word is actually the larger part of the brain because they both start with the C. Or if you want to remember it, the cerebellum, it has a bell in it. And I always think this is kind of hanging off like a bell because it's a circle, or relatively close to a circle than the larger part of the brain. So that's all I have on the nervous system for today. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, so I'm going to post the brain pop video on the nervous system, and I'll do the questions again, 10 questions that you guys can actually log in. You can do the actual quiz online first, just write down your answers, and then you can do the assignment and hopefully get 100. And then besides that, if you owe me anything else, I know I posted 2 videos on the skeletal and the joints, and we're just going to go from there, okay? And I also have one other thing with the brain that I'm going to upload around 3 o'clock once I get done with the other video, okay? All right, guys, stay safe. Evelyn, good luck on your surgery.